So you're thinking about moving to Surrey, BC, but you're on the fence. Well, you might have heard mixed reviews, and it's tough to figure out what is really true. Well, if that's the case, you are in the right place, because in this video, I'm going to break down the real pros and the real cons of living in Surrey, BC. And by the end of this video, you are going to have a much clearer picture of what life is really like living here. All right, so let's go ahead and dive right into it. Now, living in Surrey has its fair share of perks, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I've lived here for over 20 years now, and I've seen firsthand how this city has evolved. Now, today, I'm going to be giving you a transparent look at both the good and, well, the not so good. And we're going to cover everything from the cost of living to community services and so much more. So let's go ahead and get started with some of the positives. First off is the lower cost of living. One of Surrey's biggest advantages is its lower cost of living. Now, I don't want you to get me wrong here, because it is not cheap by any means. But when you compare it to Vancouver, Surrey is much more affordable. So for instance, the aggregate home price in Surrey, when you look at all types of homes combined, is $1,064,500. While in Vancouver, the aggregate home price soars to $1,249,980. Renting is also easier on the wallet here. With a one-bedroom apartment, it averages at $2,120 per month. Whereas if you look in Vancouver, it's going to be closer to $2,708 per month. So, while the cost of living isn't exactly low, it's definitely more manageable than living in the big city next door. By the way, guys, if you're new to this channel, my name is Glen Hopkins, and I create videos all about Canadian real estate and my local market of Surrey and White Rock, BC. So if that is something you're interested in, be sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and that way you're not going to miss out on any of my upcoming videos. Also, if you would like my help with either buying or selling a home, there is a link in the description box below where you can schedule a call with me at your convenience. All right, so pro number 2 is nature and outdoor recreation. So if you are an outdoor enthusiast, you're going to absolutely love Surrey, because it's known as the city of parks. It boasts over 800 parks. Whether you're, into running, biking, or simply enjoying a relaxing day out, there is going to be a spot for you. And some of the best parks include Tyne Head Park, Bear Creek Park, and Redwood Park. Plus, there's also beaches like Crescent Beach and Blackie Spit, if you're in the mood for some of those warm water activities. Pro number 3 is going to be the location. Surrey has a central location in the Lower Mainland, which is another major perk. It's about 45 minutes drive to both Vancouver or Abbotsford, making it a perfect spot for commuters or for, those who like to explore the surrounding areas. So depending on where you live, Surrey, you're going to have access to several major highways, bridges, and even the SkyTrain, which can take you straight into downtown Vancouver. Now, this central positioning, it really gives you that flexibility to get to where you need to go. Pro number 4 is access to education, and that's because Surrey has become a hub for higher education in these recent years. Major institutions like Simon Fraser University, Kwantlen Polytechnical University, they have campuses right here in Surrey. And even UBC, they have announced plans to build a campus in the Surrey Central Wally area. And this is going to make things for, quality education is just much more accessible without the need to actually commute into the city, going all the way into Vancouver. Now, this expansion in the educational resources, I would say it makes Surrey a solid choice for both families and students alike. Pro number 5 is diversity. Surrey is one of the most diverse cities in all of BC, and it really does show in its neighborhoods, in its culture, and in its community. It's got a growing population, expected to grow to almost 646,000 people by 2026, and almost 774,000 people by 2036. Surrey is home to a large South Asian community, as well as many Chinese, Filipino, and other cultural groups. Now, Now, this rich diversity, it means that you're going to find a variety of cultural events, restaurants, and experiences throughout the entire city. And it's an incredibly welcome spot for many people from all backgrounds, and there's always something new to try in Surrey. Pro number 6 is excellent community services. Now, Surrey, it definitely has some excellent community services, and they're only getting better every day. The city has really made a significant investment in community centers, hospitals, shopping malls, parks, and nonprofit organizations that cater to this very fast-growing population. There's facilities like the Grandview Heights Aquatic Center, Clayton Heights Recreation Center. Those are just a few examples of how Surrey is continually improving the community and the services in this community to meet everyone's needs. And Surrey is undergoing rapid development with significant investments being made in new housing and in resources. And this growth, it's really causing a revitalization of neighborhoods that previously had, well, let's just say, less than stellar reputations. So for example, Central Surrey area, it has transformed over the past decade thanks to the ongoing developments, making it a much more desirable place to live. Now, the influx of new housing, it also means more choices for prospective homeowners. Lastly, let's not forget about the weather. Now, compared to the rest of Canada, Surrey enjoys a milder climate. And while it does get quite a bit of rain in the spring and in the winter, you won't have to deal with the extreme cold or the heat that you find in other parts of the country. Snow is rare, and when it does fall, it usually melts within a couple of days. Summers, they're warm, but not overly hot, making it really a generally comfortable spot year-round for people to experience. All right, now that we've covered all of the positives, let's go ahead and switch gears and talk about some of the drawbacks of living in Surrey, BC. It's not all smooth sailing, so let's go ahead and dive into some of the cons of living here. Con number 1 is higher crime rate in certain areas. Now, Surrey, it does have a bit of a reputation for higher crime rates, specifically related to drug and gang activity. However, it is really important to note that this activity, it is largely concentrated in certain pockets of the city. Areas like Whalley, parts of Newton and Guildford, okay? So also understand that Surrey is the 3rd largest city by landmass in all of BC. So, while crime can be an issue in some areas, there are also many low crime neighborhoods where you can feel very safe. Con number 2 is traffic. Now, traffic can be a major headache in Surrey, especially during the rush hours. Despite Highway 1, which runs through the city, most people, they're going to find themselves having to navigate the maze of all of the side streets trying to reach their destination, which can get congestion happening pretty quickly. So, depending on the time of day, it can take you anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes to travel from one end of Surrey to the other. Now, it's definitely something you need to consider, especially if you commute on a daily basis. Now, I'm going to reveal the final and most important con in just 1 minute. But before I do that, let's first talk about the rapid transit system here in Surrey. I should say Surrey does have 4 SkyTrain stops, but they only serve the northern parts of the city. And this means that those who are living in Cloverdale or South Surrey, they're going to have to rely primarily on buses or their own vehicles. And although there are plenty of buses, they're kind of known for being slow. And getting around without a car, it can be a real hassle. Now, I should say that there are plans in place to extend the SkyTrain into Cloverdale and Langley, but that is still years away. Now, like any large city, Surrey does have its share of low income and, well, less attractive neighborhoods. There are some areas that have higher concentrations of homeless people, which can affect the overall vibe of that area. However, the city is investing in community improvements and affordable housing, particularly in areas like Newton, Guildford, and the downtown downtown Cloverdale area. Now, while progress is being made, there is still quite a ways to go here. Now, for con number 5, we need to talk about the weather once again. But this time we need to talk about the downside, which, well, you guessed it, it's the rain. Surrey gets a lot of it, okay, particularly in the spring and winter months. And it's not like it rains every single day, but it does rain enough to make it feel like there's a constant presence of wetness. And in the winter, it gets dark, probably around 4 or 4:30, which means it can make the days feel much shorter. And, if you're someone who really craves the sunshine, this might be a bit of an adjustment for you. And so there you have it. Those are the main pros and cons of living in Surrey, BC. Now, before you make a decision, there's something crucial that you absolutely need to know about the Surrey real estate market that could change the way you see the city. And I'm going to be covering that in this next video.